Hello, this is Richard Jacobs, Executive Director of the Finding Genius Foundation, also host of the Finding Genius podcast. As usual, I want to give you updates on what I am learning about depression and anxiety as part of this effort to create the CODEX, which will be a resource of approximately 5,000 sources of material from scientific papers to lectures to books to interviews, etc., all curated to look for and find every possible treatment for anxiety and depression. So I was having a conversation with one of my board members, Dr. Sandy Bevacqua. I call her Dr. Sandy Baklava because it sounds more delicious. But Dr. Sandy, I just want to give you a little bit of her bio. She holds a PhD in molecular and cellular biology. She worked as a research scientist in both university and government settings and has lectured to the public and to medical professionals since 1986. So a very long time. She has a background in the fields of genetic engineering and human tumor biology. Dr. Sandy makes it her job to make the complex interactions between our bodies, the foods we eat, supplements we take, and the lifestyles we lead, connect all those in our minds and help us reach better health. And Dr. Sandy has her own practice for decades, and she helps consult with people to improve their health and fix their biochemistry and find the underlying reasons why they're anxious or depressed or overweight, etc., etc., etc. A very, very smart lady. So in our recent conversation, we were talking about anxiety and depression. I told her about the new things that I'm learning, and she said, one thing you've got to really take into account, Rich, is the voices in people's heads. Now, if you have voices in your head, it doesn't mean you're insane. It doesn't mean that you're mentally ill. But what I have noticed, literally through personal interactions with family members and other depressed and anxious people, and what Dr. Sandy has seen by literally helping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of people, is that an important component of depression and anxiety is that you hear voices in your head. Not always, but a substantial number of people do. And the voice, unfortunately, is typically very negative. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. They don't like you. How could you be so stupid? What's wrong with you? You're fat. You're ugly. On and on and on and on. And I've heard from people that are depressed, when they're really depressed, these voices are loud, they're insistent, and they literally shout out other voices from family, friends, husbands, wives, etc. And I've literally encountered this, with my wife and my son. When they're really having a hard time and they're very depressed, whatever I say to them, they just don't hear it. And they keep repeating these negative phrases, and I know that they're saying bad things to themselves. So I don't yet have a solution for this, but thanks to Dr. Sandy, I'm a lot more aware of it now. And it's kind of funny. You would think that living with, my wife and my son that occasionally have depression, thank God it's not all the time, I would be aware of this, but I wasn't until she told me. So you as a listener, if you are experiencing anxiety, so I realized that although I may not have a solution to the voices in your head, if you're anxious or depressed, it's just a critically important thing to take note of. So you as the listener, if you're suffering, and if you are, I'm sorry to hear it, from anxiety or depression, or if you know someone, again, coworker, family member, someone you go to church with, someone you just see, at the coffee shop every day, whatever it may be, aunt, uncle, whatever it is, child, husband, anyone you know that suffers from this, it would be very important for you to know that when they're in the depths of it, again, when they're on my, newly formed scale, the 1 to 10 scale, 10 being you're at the bottom of a dark well or a hole. Number 1, you're up at the surface. If you're able to gauge or characterize for yourself or someone you know what number they're at, you'll know how to talk to them, I believe. And I'll go into this in another podcast, but I have some strategies that I see are working well to help people that are suffering. Again, this is not the full CODEX. I haven't yet gone through these 5,000 sources to figure this out, but it's just early days. I want to tell you everything I'm seeing and experiencing. So again, if it's you or someone you know and they're having anxiety or depression, see if you could ask them, how bad is it? How do you feel? Is it real bad? And then acknowledge it. I'm sorry to hear that you're really having a hard time today. I hear you. And that can be very helpful to say that to people. But also realize if you can't get that out of them and they're just being unreasonable, or if you're just being unreasonable or ornery and you just really can't hear what people are saying, or the person you're speaking to can't seem to hear what you're saying or process it, know that there may be competing voices in their head that are crowding that stuff out. So another question that brings to mind is, are you saying bad things to yourself? Are you saying bad things about yourself? And if the person says yes, again, you may not be able to stop them, but you could at least say, I'm sorry to hear that. I know that makes it really hard, and that probably makes you feel really bad, and I'm sorry to hear it. I don't think that way, just so you know. So I hope this helps you. Again, I want to take you on my journey to figuring out anxiety and depression, tell you everything I'm learning. So I hope this helps. I'd like your feedback on whether you know somebody, or again, you yourself have experienced these voices. If you're willing, tell me what the voices say, how strong are they, or what have you heard from other people, and any nuances or tips or tricks that you found to help combat them or silence them or at least lower their volume. If you want to find out more, again, we need your help to get this project fully realized. The budget's going to be about $500,000. We have started fundraising, but obviously we have a ways to go. I've contributed my own personal money, but go to findinggeniusfoundation.org and please consider donating. Anything you can do helps. $20, $50, $100, $1,000, 500,000, whatever you can do to help us get this project running and completed and out there in the world to benefit other people. Thank you.